But the key thing also is at the same time that we got to do things legal. That is the important thing, you know? So you got to do things legal. And those people that are doing illegal things in America and that are foreigners, they are not smart. Because when you come to America, you're a guest. And you have to behave like a guest. When you become an immigrant, to think about, okay, I go to America because I want to use America for the great opportunities that America has in education, in jobs, creating a family, all of those kind of things. Then you have to think about, okay, if I get all of those things from America, then I have to give something back.
Arnold Schwarzenegger didn't just appear. He detonated onto the stage like a human blockbuster. No filter, no fluff, just pure verbal firepower. He came in swinging, dropping blunt truths like heavy dumbbells in a packed gym. Each one sending those liberal panelists scrambling, wide-eyed and stammering like someone yanked a fire alarm on their carefully rehearsed talking points. Arnold wasn't there to exchange polite nods. He was pure Terminator mode, cold, precise, and utterly relentless. If you're tired of sugar-coated spin and crave commentary that lands like a steel punch to the jaw, smash that like button now, because this blow-up is just getting started.
You are an immigrant. You're an immigrant in this country. Yeah. Did you have a visceral reaction to what they're doing, what ICE is doing, when you see the videos of it?
Well, I tell you, you said that the immigrant, I'm so proud and happy that I was embraced by the American people like that. I mean, imagine I came over here with the age of 21, with absolutely nothing. And then to create a career like that. I mean, in no other country in the world could you do that.
Let's be honest. Arnold might be the most iconic immigrant success story America's ever produced. The guy landed in the U.S. at 21 with nothing but raw ambition and iron will. No famous last name, no family connections, no handouts, just pure hustle. He didn't just succeed, he conquered. He smashed every record in bodybuilding, ruled Hollywood as the king of blockbusters, then ran the 5th largest economy in the world as California's governor. Who else can flex like that? His story isn't just inspiring, it's legendary. While others whine about the system, he bent it to his will. While critics complained, he worked. And now, he's still here, unfiltered and unstoppable, showing everyone what true American drive looks like. When The View booked Arnold, they thought they'd steer the narrative, ride his star power, bait him into trashing Trump's immigration stance, and spin it into viral TV gold. What they didn't realize, they didn't book another safe celebrity. They walked straight into a verbal wildfire.
Every single thing, if it's my bodybuilding career, if it's my acting career, becoming governor, the beautiful family that I've created, all of this is because of America.
That's true.
And so this is why I'm so happy to see firsthand that this is the greatest country in the world, and this is the land of opportunity.
Arnold didn't show up to boost ratings. He showed up to rip the script to shreds, torch every recycled talking point, and unleash his truth with zero filter. From the first line, it was clear. This wasn't some accidental slip. It was calculated. He opened up raw, pouring his heart out about America, what it gave him, what it meant to him. You could feel the energy shift. The crowd leaned in, heads nodding, cheers breaking out. This wasn't canned applause. This was real. You could see it in his eyes. This was personal, not PR fluff. He spoke about the American dream, the grind, the promise that anyone, if they're hungry enough, tough enough, can make it. It landed like a gut punch wrapped in hope. The studio was in the palm of his hand. But here's the twist. That moving moment, it wasn't the finale, it was the setup, the calm before the detonation. Arnold was loading the clip, and nobody on that stage realized it. When he dropped the real bomb, the entire room flipped. The table, the narrative, all of it. The crowd gasped. The host froze. It stopped being their show. It was his. Watch that clip again. See Sunny Hostin practically lunging, her face tight, her posture stiff, desperate to pull it back on script. You can practically hear the panic. For a second, it looked like Arnold was going to echo the safe narrative. Then he smashed it instead.
But the key thing also is at the same time that we got to do things legal. That is the important thing, you know? So you got to do things legal. And those people that are doing illegal things in America and that are foreigners, they are not smart. Because when you come to America, you're a guest. And you have to behave like a guest. Like when I go to someone's house and I'm a guest, then I will do everything I can keep things clean.
But then he flipped the whole thing upside down, calm, unfazed, and rocking that signature swagger. Arnold reminded everyone on camera and at home that there's a legal way to enter this country, and that's the only way it should be done. No shortcuts, no excuses. Didn't matter if the host squirmed or the audience shifted in their seats. He planted that flag and stood on it, unbothered. You could almost hear the air get sucked out of the room as the claps died off, and his words hit like cinder blocks. Arnold didn't show up to tiptoe around the truth. He came to bulldoze right through it. And just when the panel thought they could pivot, boom, another truth bomb. Sonny Hostin and Joy Behar scrambled to soften the impact, but it was too late. Arnold made it brutally clear. If you come to America, you come to respect the law, appreciate the shot you're given, and contribute, not undermine the system that let you in. No spin, no sugarcoating, just cold reality. And this wasn't some random rant. The facts back him up. A 2023 DHS report revealed that in Texas alone, over 56,000 non-citizen immigrants were arrested for crimes like assault, drug trafficking, and even homicide in just a few years. Illegal immigrants accounted for more than 250,000 criminal charges. That's not spin, that's numbers. And when Arnold talks, people listen, even when it stings. This wasn't the polished narrative The View wanted to ride. Too bad. Arnold didn't come to read their script. He came with his truth and dropped it like a steel hammer. Immigration is a privilege, not an excuse to bend the law. If you step foot in America, you play by America's rules. Anything less is an insult to the very opportunity that makes this country worth coming to.
And to make my bed and to do everything that is the right thing to do rather than committing a crime or being abusive or something like that. So that doesn't really work in this country. So I think the important thing is when you become an immigrant, to think about, okay, I go to America because I want to use America for the great opportunities that America has in education, in jobs, creating a family, all of those kind of things. Then you have to think about, okay, if I get all of those things from America, then I have to give something back.
Then came another verbal gut punch, and this one landed like a heavyweight blow. The panel froze, faces stiff, tension so thick you could feel it through the screen. But Arnold didn't flinch. Calm, deliberate, unshaken. He broke it down in plain language. Immigrants shouldn't show up thinking only about what they can get. The real question is, were you giving back? No sugarcoating. No polite pivot. He called out the entitlement mindset on live TV, point blank. He reminded every viewer that real gratitude isn't lip service. It's respecting the law, contributing, and honoring the freedom you're blessed with. Then he dropped the million-dollar question that hit like a hammer. How many immigrants can honestly say they've given back to this country after taking its safety, its prosperity, and its protection for granted? And this was an attack. He is one of them. He knows the dream because he lived it. But he also knows a dream means nothing without responsibility. He didn't aim his words at immigrants. He aimed them at the culture that rewards complaining over contributing. And the silence in that studio, that told the real story. Schwarzenegger's words weren't just a scolding. They were a wake-up call. He forced the whole room, and everyone watching at home, to look in the mirror and ask the question no one wants to answer. Are we raising builders or freeloaders? No spin, no apology, just a cold truth, and a challenge the nation couldn't ignore.
You have a responsibility as an immigrant to give back to America and to pay back to America and to go and do something for your community for no money whatsoever. Give something back to after-school programs, Special Olympics, or whatever it is. Make this country a better place.
And right on cue, Sonny Hostin just couldn't handle it. You could see it in her posture. Shoulders stiff, hands shooting up like she was swatting away a fly. Her tone snapped from polite to pointed in seconds. That's what happens when raw, unfiltered reality bulldozes a carefully rehearsed narrative. It gets awkward, fast. So she did what she always does when cornered, pivot and deflect. Out came the old faithful. Asterisk. Well, American-born citizens commit more crimes than immigrants. Asterisk. You could practically hear the panel sigh with relief. Like asterisk, phew, maybe that'll flip the room back in our favor. Asterisk, but Arnold didn't blink. He called it exactly what it was, textbook spin. Because the second you start scoreboard counting crime stats, you're missing the point entirely. He spelled it out, cool as ever. Asterisk, this isn't about comparing who breaks the law more. It's about the fact that breaking the law at all, by being here illegally, is already the problem. Asterisk. No fancy footwork. No fancy stats. Just the uncomfortable truth. Respect for the law is non-negotiable. For everyone, no matter where you're born. Excuses don't build strong countries. accountability does. And if that stings, maybe that's because it should. Arnold made it painfully clear. If you're in the U.S. illegally, you're already flouting the system that millions play by. No one's demanding sainthood, just basic respect for the rules. Deportation is a revenge. It's how a nation keeps its word to citizens who follow the law. And when the left tries to muddy that line, when they twist numbers and cherry-pick context to keep everyone too confused to push back, Arnold wasn't buying it for a second. He even dragged Gavin Newsom into the spotlight, torching the so-called California model as a blueprint for chaos. Soaring crime, unchecked homelessness, and a revolving door for illegal entry. And when Arnold drops these bombs, the spin cycle doesn't stand a chance, because he's living proof that gratitude and law aren't enemies. They're the backbone of the American dream.
Keep things clean and to make my bed and to do everything that is the right thing to do rather than committing a crime or being abusive or something like that.
Don't forget, there's 90% of the people who come here are trying to do the right thing.
They're less likely to commit crimes.
And a lot of what's happening right now is people are getting snatched who shouldn't be snatched out of the country, people who have visas, people who have all those things. So we want all the right people. We don't want people who are doing bad stuff.
But they are less likely, immigrants are much less likely to commit crimes in this country than actually American-born citizens. And the other thing I just wanted to say is that Governor Newsom did not ask for the National Guard to come to, the federal government to come to California. There are 9,000 local law enforcement officers in California.
Let's be real. Gavin Newsom has pretty much cemented his legacy as one of California's biggest letdowns in the governor's chair. Instead of leading with logic and unity, like Arnold actually did back in his day, Newsom leaned hard into chaos. He didn't back the law. He didn't calm tensions. Nope. He coddled protesters, gave illegal immigrants political cover, and, in one of the wildest political stunts ever, basically dared President Trump to come arrest him. That's not leadership. That's reckless cosplay with people's lives. You don't light the match, toss it into the crowd, and then pretend to look surprised when the flames spread. Real leaders calm the room, protect their people, and think 2 steps ahead before things explode. Newsom, he waited until the fire singed his own doorstep, then stumbled out with some half-baked statement that was too little, too late. Arnold saw it coming from a mile away. And by the time California realized a grown-up was off duty, the damage was done. Instead of steady hand at the wheel, California got a political arsonist lighting fuses and moonwalking away while the blaze engulfed the neighborhood. Newsom talked big, posed bigger, but when the sparks turned to flames, all he had was smoke and mirrors. And just when you thought the heat couldn't get higher, the View panel decided to swing one last time.
If you were governor right now of California, how would you be handling the ongoing crisis that the state's facing?
Well, I think the most important thing is when you are in a leadership position like that, is that you are inclusive and that you work together with everybody. And so it means that you have to work together with local government, the state government, and the federal government. They have to work together rather than fighting each other. Fighting each other's agendas and all of that stuff. That doesn't do good to anybody.
They weren't done yet. They wanted their pound of flesh, so they pulled out what they thought was a knockout punch. The National Guard debate. It's the topic that sends shivers through every green room in mainstream media. You could practically see the panel lean in, thinking asterisk got him. Asterisk, but Arnold? Not a bead of sweat. He stood there, cool and unbothered, like a man who's weathered bigger storms than a TV panel trying to score cheap moral points. Then, boom, he dropped a real grenade. He publicly defended President Trump's decision to deploy the National Guard during the protests. That's right. No hedging, no sugarcoating, just straight truth. You could see Whoopi Goldberg shift in her seat, her jaw tighten. That moment when you realize the conversation just blew right past the approved narrative. The audience went so quiet you could hear the cameraman's earpiece buzzing. Arnold didn't yell, didn't posture. He just laid it out. Asterisk in times of civil unrest. Job 1 is restoring order. Period. Asterisk protect lives. Protect property. Keep neighborhoods from burning to ground. And if that takes the National Guard, then that's the adult move, not the partisan move. It was blunt, simple, and devastatingly honest. Meanwhile, the control room probably looked like an air traffic tower during a lightning storm. Producers waving, stage managers half wincing, someone definitely hovering over the go-to-commercial button. But Arnold wasn't backing down. He didn't fly in to trade polite applause lines. He came to drop facts like dumbbells, no filter, no fear, just raw, uncomfortable reality. And when the smoke cleared, the panel was left blinking like they'd just been hit by a truth bomb they never saw coming.
The National Guard is under the governor's supervision.
That's right.
Yeah.
But, like for instance, when the National Guard was sent to Iraq during the Iraqi war, I was not the one that said, oh yeah, go to Iraq. The Bush administration came and said, we need those people.
They came
and
to you.
They came to us, and we need the resources, we need the equipment, we need the weapons, we need the vehicles to ship to Iraq, and then they ship
It's the
to
coordination.
Iraq. So that's why I say it is very important that we work together. It doesn't matter who is asking whom. The bottom line is we work together in order to solve the problem.
They once strutted around as the self-appointed guardians of tolerance. But that day, the View S panel looked more like gatekeepers of a one-way echo chamber. The same hosts who loved to preach about open dialogue turned squeamish the second Arnold Schwarzenegger dropped real talk right in their laps. It wasn't loud or bombastic, just blunt honesty that cut through the fluff like a buzzsaw. And you could see in real time, Joy fumbling her notes, Sonny lunging in with clumsy interruptions, Whoopi shooting side eyes like someone just broke a sacred house rule. Arnold didn't flinch. He didn't match their panic. He calmly called it for what it was. Asterisk, disagreeing isn't hate. Different opinions aren't danger. Asterisk, and in a world where outrage is currency, Arnold made it crystal clear. He wasn't cashing in. He stood there, solid as stone, reminding millions watching that real democracy isn't built on safe, scripted conversations. It's built on uncomfortable truths that make you squirm in your seat. They scrambled, tossing out half-baked stats, emotional sound bites, vague references. None of it stuck. Arnold didn't spar with feelings. He bulldozed through with raw facts, each line hitting like a brick through glass. What rattled them most wasn't facts themselves. It was that he dared to say them in their house, on their turf, live, raw, and impossible to bury in post-production. It wasn't just a TV segment. It was a reckoning. Arnold didn't show up to play footsie with a mainstream narrative. He came to torch the script, and the second he flipped that cozy panel upside down, the ripple effect was instant. Across the aisle, Ilhan Omar tried her usual routine, slamming the president's National Guard decision with the same doomsday spin. But this time, she got met with a sharp, no-nonsense reality check from Ben Shapiro, who didn't mince words about the real threat, the real stakes, and why coddling chaos is the fastest way to ruin a city. Arnold made one thing clear. If your ideas can't survive a real debate, maybe they weren't worth protecting in the first place.
While our president is spending millions of dollars propping himself up like a failed dictator with a military parade.
We're becoming one of the worst places on earth, according to a woman who came from Somalia, because President Trump had a military parade. But this goes deeper than that for Ilhan Omar. Of course, there's not much about traditional American values that she does like. She is constantly sounding off about the evils of American colonialism, American capitalism. A group of people have been brought to our shores over the course of the last 50, 60 years who really despise the country. And that is one half of the equation, not immigrants.
Shapiro backed up Schwarzenegger's point with razor-sharp clarity. Immigrants should meet America with gratitude, not endless grievance. This country offers freedom, safety, and the chance to build something out of nothing. That's the immigrant story at its best. It's about working, contributing, adding to the dream, not standing on a soapbox demanding more, while trashing the very foundation that made it all possible. But what do we get from Ilhan Omar? Time and again, she steps in front of every camera she can find just to drag the same country that gave her everything. She's called America racist, oppressive, even one of the worst countries in the world. It's not just tone deaf. It's a slap to every immigrant who came here with nothing but hope and grit, who busted their backs to make something better. The contradiction is glaring in neon lights. If America is so terrible, why is she here? And bigger still, how did this broken, racist nation raise her all the way to Congress? Nobody in her corner wants to say it out loud, but we will. If you got something from this unapologetic dose of truth, hit that like button, subscribe for more, and drop your take in the comments below. We want to hear it. Thanks for watching. See you next time.